Yep.
You.
This is Ando and Ready coming at you with the Dead End Boys,
Episode 2.
where we dive into more NFL news and now the offseason.
Officially the offseason.
So, first on the docket will be, where do we see our teams as an Eagles and Giants fan? What are we looking forward to start the offseason? Where are we looking at to improve our teams? Where do we think we're good enough to not improve our teams? And so on and so forth.
Yeah, and then I guess we'll go right into it. As an Eagles fan, man, you got a lot of holes, a lot of free agents that you got to fill out. Your biggest needs truly are the line, and then the defense, the secondary. You know, James Bradbury, he's gonna command too much money. Let's be real, for a 29, 30-year-old corner who, in my opinion, can only play zone and wasn't that great in the second half. I mean, against the Cowboys, he got absolutely torched in the one red zone drive by, I think, CeeDee Lamb, and he just wasn't even close. Yeah. It was like a short yardage play, but he just, he bit the wrong way. And in the Super Bowl, obviously, we saw the 2 wide open touchdowns and stuff. And then with the line, Fletcher Cox is most likely going to walk. Brandon Graham's open to coming back, but he's old. Javon Hargrave, I think they got to prioritize him. Comes off of a great year. Everyone on that line had a great year, let's be real, but he's a big target. Your linebackers, I'm not too concerned because, hey, you got Nakobe Dean in the wings. Maybe we'll give him the keys.
Yeah.
TJ Edwards is most likely, I would not be shocked, going to Arizona and following in Jonathan Gannon's footsteps, which, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Jonathan Gannon's gone. From an Eagles fan, I hated him. I don't want to hear anything about it. I think our players made him look good, not him making our players look good.
Okay.
I won't lie. We didn't have the talent in 2021. We got the talent in 2022, and it showed. He's the most conservative coordinator I've ever seen. He is so stubborn and doesn't adjust, and that's the reason when we lost the Super Bowl. He wouldn't adjust.
He sticks to his plan going in rather than adjust his plan based on how the game's going.
And Arizona watched that Super Bowl and said, yeah, he's our guy.
Yeah, he's our guy.
And you know what? Thank you.
Good luck to them. Cheers
all around to them. But, yeah, offensively, I don't think there's really any holes that we have. You're coming back with your top 2 wide receivers, your top tight end. Probably going to come back with 4 out of your 5 offensive linemen. Isaac Seumalo is going to cost too much, but I think Jason Kelce returns. I think he's going to come back for one more run.
Yeah, one last run.
And we drafted his eventual replacement in Cam Jurgens last year, but I think he's going to fit the guard role that Isaac Seumalo was in. So he's going to just cost too much, so he'll walk. You have your quarterback. Running back, you can either draft one, pick up somebody, and go by committee, which is what we kind of do. We go by committee. Obviously, with Boston Scott, the giant killer.
Oh my gosh.
But
I'm sick and tired of hearing him. Seeing him. Fuck that guy.
We go by committee, so it's not even like we need to have a number 1. No. I mean, if Miles comes back on a cheap deal, I'd be open to it. But you can kind of replace him. Yeah. He had his first 1,000-yard season this year. I'm
a fan of Gainwell. I think
I was saying he was
running. Do I think he has a big enough body to really be down there on the goal line, going at it? No, but you have Boston Scott, who is 5'6".
Yeah,
he's a small boy.
But
he also is stocky in his own right. And Miles Sanders wasn't the guy for you banging in on the goal line. Like, Miles Sanders is like a skinnier, smaller frame guy. So, at the end of the day, what are you really losing? You're losing Miles Sanders, who, yes, he has explosive capabilities, but do you think...
You could find that anywhere, I think, in today's NFL, in the draft. You can get that guy in the second round, the third round, the fourth round. Like, we don't need to waste our first-round pick as much as I like Bijan Robinson. Like,
oh, yeah, he's a dog.
We don't need to kind of do that, you know? You can get a running back literally anywhere. And it's evidence every year how many of these great backs end up second-round pick, third-round pick, you know? So...
And running backs that are undrafted free agents that end up becoming monsters in the league.
I mean,
it's all about the situation. It's all about how hard they're willing to work. If you're going to draft a running back late or you're going to find a running back, you can even say Isaiah Pacheco. You look at him coming into the season, he's a 7th-round draft pick, rookie, almost undrafted. They take a shot on him, and what does he do? He beats CEH out. He beats Jerick McKinnon out.
I was going to say he beats out a former first-round pick running back, and that's
and becomes the dog. Why? Because the kid works harder than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, he was the Chiefs' Rookie of the Year this year.
Oh, absolutely. And I would like to say I'm not worried about who they're going to replace Jonathan Gannon with as a coordinator. I mean, the names that have been floated around, I don't really want Vance Joseph. He's kind of the one that's interviewed, I think, the most currently. He's not... I'm not necessarily happy about that. We were talking with a guy who was the defensive coordinator from Wisconsin, I believe, Jim Leonard, and a lot of the fans were high on him. Ultimately, came out today that they weren't going to go forward, which I was kind of like, man, maybe he could have been the guy. But it's always hard with college guys coming over and seeing how much success they can truly have.
I think there's a certain breed of college coaches that can become NFL coaches. And I think a lot of the time, if they coach in college for a prolonged period of time, they lose... Let me phrase this well. They lose the sight of... If you're going to the NFL, you're coaching grown-ass men who are making millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. They're not these high school going into college kids and these college kids that are going to listen to you because they're just trying to make it to the next level. They're at the level. Like, that's it. They know what they can give you, and you can't coach them the same way you coach the college kids. I think a lot of the coaches that come out of college think that, I'm just going to do the same thing I've always done. No. You have to command the locker room a little bit. You got to show them. You got to prove yourself to them at the end of the day because they're like, well, I'm, a 6-year NFL vet. I'm a top 10 at my position. You're some guy that just strolled in. Like, show me that you understand how to handle a proper team, and you can respect me, and we can respect you, and we can, have this camaraderie. No one's gonna play for a coach that is on his own high horse and belittles his own players. Joe Judge.
I agree. You gotta have there's a certain breed, and that's ultimately the gamble with it. Yeah. So we'll see what's gonna happen. I would be pretty shocked if we came to a decision on a defensive coordinator in the next couple of days. I think this might leak in the next week. Offensive coordinator, I think I touched on this last week, Brian Johnson. He's the most obvious candidate, the internal candidate. He's our quarterbacks coach, family friend of Jalen Hurts. Okay. Coached at Florida and Mississippi State with Dak, and then when Kyle Trask had his bizarre Heisman, then non-Heisman year.
Yeah. Well, he was in the Heisman.
They were the hottest team in the country, and then I guess tailed off. And I think offensively, again, they're good. I have faith in what they're gonna do. They in my eyes, can run it back next year offensively and be up in the top of the league. Although I will say, there's this whole cry from about the sneak play, about looking to ban that, which it's a like, isn't that like what you want? Like, I'll phrase it this way: that play, the NFL today wants scoring. That play helps keep drives going to score. Would you really want to mess with that? Yeah. Is it almost virtually impossible to stop? Yeah. Sure, but at the same time, not all quarterbacks can do it. I watched firsthand with a guy like Gardner Minshew who couldn't do it. Yeah. Not all quarterbacks can run this play successfully. So, to me, why would you ban it? It works for certain quarterbacks. Like,
as a Giants fan, I hope they ban it because I'm done seeing it. I watch that formation come out and I go, oh, the defense knows what's coming. Everyone in the stadium knows what's coming. Everyone watching on TV knows what's coming, and you still can't stop it. Because I'm sorry, as old as Jason Kelsey is, he gets low as hell on those plays, and he drives and drives and drives. And Jalen Hurts has some big ass legs.
The only thing I could see them banning is being able to push the quarterback.
Yeah. I see that. That's been around for years, though.
It's one of those things that I guess there's an argument, but to me, then you're just gonna come up with the next variation of it, and it's never gonna go away. So why mess with it?
Can't push the quarterback. Let's pull the quarterback. How about that? No, I'm very curious to see if they do try to ban something like pushing the quarterback. Do they do it on all ball carriers now? So when a running back gets stood up at the 3-yard line, are we just gonna blow the play dead when people try to push them?
I think it's gonna draw. There's gonna have to be a domino effect that people don't think about when you just say, oh, ban the play, or they might look to ban the play. Looking at you, Dean Blandino, motherfucker. Well,
he works for the XFL, so no one cares.
But last thing I'll touch on the Eagles. I'll make this quick. It's already run about 10 minutes on talking about the Eagles. Is they said C.J. Gardner-Johnson, they're gonna looks like it's most likely gonna be a franchise tag, and they're not gonna let him go, which I'm all for. He earned it. Pay him his money, give him his bag, let him be able to buy a better car than a Kia, so our fans don't break into his car and steal his damn car. But and then lastly, the MVP odds from Bet Online. Pat Mahomes 5-1.
Okay.
Joe Burrow 6-1. Jalen Hurts 8-1. Josh Allen 10-1.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert 14-1. Tua 14-1. Rodgers 16-1. Lamar Jackson 18-1, and Trevor Lawrence 18-1.
The only bone to pick I have with that was where's Danny Dimes on that list. Danny Dimes, I think, given a proper opportunity with proper weapons and a better than bottom 3 offensive line, can give you possible MVP
honestly
numbers.
He's probably like in the 20-1 or like 25-1 range, but that's just what the top 9 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I get it though. I think Herbert's a little high on that list. I think
Herbert's high.
Well.
Tua is on. See, Tua's gonna get his stats because of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So, and then Justin Herbert's gonna get his passing yards. And that's what skews the MVP, and that's why there should be to me. I guess they do have it with the Offensive Player of the Year and then the MVP, because like the MVP is always gonna be quarterback driven.
Yeah.
I mean, Cooper Kupp had like an all-time year, and because he's a wide receiver in 2021, he's not even gonna come close to it. You know, like
it's a quarterback award. It is.
It's dumb. The MVP really, it should just be the best quarterback award, and then a true MVP award.
Yeah.
Who is the most valuable player? And I get the quarterback is at pretty much the most valuable player. Without a quarterback, you probably aren't winning in today's NFL.
Exactly.
You know, like. But
teams make it happen, but like
it's you gotta exclude it.
You can't win especially in the playoffs. You can if you have a great defense, you have a great complementary team, and you have an okay half decent quarterback, you can probably get to the playoffs. But you're not gonna win when you're there.
Josh Johnson ain't winning you a playoff game.
No,
you know, like there's some
Skylar Thompson who almost did. isn't really gonna win you a playoff
Yeah,
game.
let's be real. Like, in an ideal circumstance, yeah, that game, he almost pulled it out. But at the end of the day, he didn't.
He had a bad game too. Like,
Yeah.
It's not like he played well.
No, it's not like he didn't play well at all. That was he didn't.
His team almost won despite what he did on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my Cliff Notes outlook. Let's get on to your G-Men, man.
Yeah.
How are we looking?
You know, I think there's a lot of holes there. I think they proved that they need cornerback help this year. Adoree Jackson, do I think he's a bona fide number one corner? The jury's still out for me on that. I want to see him with the proper pieces around him so he can actually try to be a one-on-one.
To me, he is a number 2. That's his ceiling.
I get it, but you know he was playing the number 1 role, and the number 2 role was being played by a guy who's a half decent slot corner at best in Darnay Holmes. I like Darnay Holmes. He's still fairly young, but I just don't think he has what it takes to be an outside corner, a 1 or 2. He's a slot corner at best. I think Julian Love. This may be unpopular with Giants fans. I really do not like Julian Love. I think he's a liability in pass coverage. Do I think he can bring the hit? I think he's not short, but like he's a stockier guy. He can hit and he can tackle, but he's a liability in pass coverage. And you saw that against Devonta Smith in the first Eagles game, where he just whiffs at the ball. Like he just doesn't have ball skills. I like McKinney. The linebackers, you're lacking something there. I like Azeez Ojulari, but he's been hurt constantly anymore. I like Thibodeau, but Jalen Smith isn't really gonna cut it as a middle linebacker. And you could tell that through most of the season when they brought in Landon Collins to aid in that middle linebacker role. And like to play down on the ball a little bit.
Who would have thought, man?
I know.
Landon Collins.
I wish the Giants would have kept him before, and I was happy they didn't after I saw him playing Washington. He was terrible. But so he helped there. I think the D line, as long as you can get Leonard Williams to restructure, I think that's a solid front. I think you could rock with that front. I think the interior offensive line is terrible.
Yeah, that's a big. That's a massive problem for
Nick
you guys.
Gates came back this year after the horrible broken leg, and he may never play football again. All that.
But he wasn't good.
But no, he didn't play well. But he was also just coming off like a major injury. So I'll give him credit. Like he's gonna probably play one of those 3 spots. I think he's best at center, but wherever they have to play him, they're gonna play him. Evan Neal is like, you got to see him next year. He's a liability in pass blocking, but he's a great run blocker, and he proved that. And, Alabama guys, I feel like they're destined to be that way because Alabama loves to run the ball. Andrew Thomas was, his normal self, like a damn near all-pro guy. He's very, very good. But you definitely need a guard in the center or 2 guards. Because that interior offensive line was a liability. Danny, I'm seeing so many numbers thrown around.
45 mil.
No.
My man wants to
No.
be paid.
I don't care. He fired his agent.
If we had a video going right now, I would just flash his face right now and say this man wants $45 million a year.
He's worth 35.
He's
maybe.
worth 20.
Well, that's what we talked about. But
and I argue
quarterback market's
Jalen
screwed.
Hurts isn't worth 50.
Yeah.
But the quarterback market. That's a whole discussion outside of all this that we could talk for hours about.
Yeah.
About how much quarterbacks get paid.
Are overvalued.
But Dimes,
I bring back Dimes for 35 to 38. If you get anywhere closer than 38 to 40, I just don't see it happening.
And truly,
but they'll franchise tag him if they don't sign him to the year.
And he doesn't have to play on that though.
Yeah,
he can hold. He really could do that and say like, obviously, I guess if you tag him, it's what. Well, I didn't look up the number for a quarterback.
20-ish. I think. Somewhere
but I mean, he could pull some stunts. And honestly, we talked about this before all the podcast stuff. You guys lose Saquon, that's
huge.
then there is no dimes. Like you're so handicapped by the fact that
we have to pay them both right now.
A Daniel Jones type quarterback is a dime a dozen now. You can get him literally every single year. Look at Will Levis.
But look at the NFL now. Like you have guys like Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo. What has Jimmy Garoppolo shown you in the last 3 years? And
that he wins.
That he wins on phenomenal teams. And they're throwing out numbers like he's gonna make 40. Going into next year, he's gonna get signed and make 40. And you're like, how? He got desperation. He got benched for Trey Lance, which, Trey Lance did get hurt and stuff.
To be fair, they also did, trade up to get him.
But then, what did Trey Lance show you? Like, not much.
Yeah, he didn't look good this year, I don't think.
Before he broke the ankle or whatever,
yeah, and then they have that problem in their hands.
Yeah, exactly. They're in a bad spot. They have a very talented roster. But then they have, Ayuk's going to leave.
Well, they have two quarterbacks
Debo,
that
and you have
are truly unproven. Like, Brock Purdy had a run this year, but he had a run.
But I don't think you can give Trey Lance back the keys yet.
No, I mean, Brock, as much as I can talk about my personal opinions about Brock Purdy, the quarterback, you don't not give him the keys. He got you guys to the NFC Championship,
And then he didn't even get to rock the NFC Championship.
Nah.
That first time he got hit by
he saw Hassan Reddick and was like, nah, I'm good. The UCL's gone.
Dog, bro. The Hassan Reddick's a dog. But Saquon is if he wants any, I give him 12.5 at best for me.
Isn't the franchise tag for him? I think it's like 10, right?
Yeah, it's like 10.5. I would give him 12.5. Maybe 13, but I don't go over 13 with him. He wants 16, which is Christian McCaffrey money. What have you shown? Yes, you're explosive. Yes, you can do this. You can do that.
I'd risk it more by franchising Saquon because ultimately I don't think he would pull us. He might say I'll hold out for a deal, but I don't think
he'll hold out till he has to be there.
And then he'll show up. Dab will be like, nah, you're.
But no, I think Saquon ties himself to this whole I want to be a Giant for life thing, which I don't believe. I see right through it. But I think he would hold himself enough to that standard that he would show up when he has to.
Mm-hmm.
And he would try to show that hey, I'm a team player. As much as, he says, oh, Giant for life. There's a lot pointing to the contrary on that.
Yeah.
I don't think he truly believes that. I think he wants to go win somewhere, and I think he realizes after the ACL and stuff like that.
Well, I also think he wants his bag too because he
wants to prove himself.
He plays a bad position, truly.
Oh yeah,
being a running back is, and you don't get paid because everybody knows running back is the life cycle so short.
Yeah,
and I understand him wanting his bag, but there's a certain point, and we've talked about this before. He carried the ball for 35 times, and and then he was here, and then it all just looked downhill from there. And then he has his moments. Don't get me wrong. He burst that run in Minnesota for the playoff game.
Yeah.
That was vintage Saquon. But he is just one injury away from that being taken all away again. And
it's
not worth it.
Rookie year, he was Saquon Barkley. Then he got hurt. And then it's you see flashes of that Saquon. But that Saquon is not Saquon Barkley anymore. It's not every carry you're worried about him breaking something.
Yeah, he definitely didn't have the Adrian Peterson return from the ACL.
He didn't get the robotic leg that Adrian Peterson got that he hid from the public.
And I will say he had a good year this year. Don't get me wrong. He definitely earned some money, but
I don't think he's earned top tier running back.
When we
money.
talk Giants, we've talked about the amount of cap space they have.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna get wiped away once these two get paid.
Oh yeah.
And to me, they're both gonna be Giants next year, without a doubt.
I think they both are.
Because I don't think
you don't know if it's both franchise, one sign, one franchise, or what.
One franchise. There's only one franchise.
Oh, only one franchise.
Yeah, only one franchise.
So I truly think it'll be Saquon that gets the franchise.
I think it would have to be because you can't give him 16. That's just
Yeah, you
not.
can't.
If he proves that it stays healthy and does it again,
Then you gotta give it.
then give him this money. Fine, dandy.
But even then, Saquon Barkley is 26 right now. After another year, he'll be 27. Are you gonna give a 27-year-old running back more than a 2-year, 16 a year deal?
As an Eagles fan, yes.
Yeah, you would give him 8 years, 75.
Pay
million.
Saquon all the money he wants. No, but it's Giants. Giants can wiggle themselves out of it, right?
Yeah,
They can franchise him this year, and
make him prove it again.
And if he does it again,
then you gotta
they
pay
could
him,
pay him,
or
if he isn't all that, you let him go and you figure it out.
Or you could try to even if he shows,
or draft his replacement this year.
That would. We were going to talk about the mock drafts later, but a lot of mock drafts I've seen do have them trying to take a running back in the 4th, 5th round.
There's a running back I want, and I hope to God he's goes in the 2nd.
Tank Bigsby.
Nah, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ooh,
dude from Alabama.
Yeah,
he's got that explosive speed, man.
Alabama running backs they all have something that they do to a top tier elite level.
I wanted Brian Robinson.
Yeah,
I was hoping and praying for us to draft him.
I want to see him get a full off season worth of work.
Yeah, with no unfortunate shit happening to him,
and have him fully healthy, completely ready to go, and have this full year because I think he could be really good.
For
him
sure.
A lot. I'm a big fan. But then on the outside, I think. Obviously, that's where I go with my first round pick. Unless you try to get a free agent guy like a Ayuk, I don't think they can afford a DeAndre Hopkins. I don't even know if you can afford an Ayuk, but
not after Christian Kirk.
I told you this.
And AJ Brown getting his bag, the wide receiver market's gonna start going up, and one of these lower end teams like a Texans or something that are gonna try to get a quarterback or a wide receiver for whoever their quarterback is. And I know the Texans have John Mechie, so if they were to take Bryce Young, number 2, they got one of his guys, but you know what I mean? Like, to bring in that vet wide receiver, it's gonna throw the market off again.
But that's why I told you earlier before we recorded this. I saw Bobby Trees, Robert Woods, got released, and I think if the Giants could get him on a proper deal.
I think he's a buy low candidate. I don't think he's going to get much.
I would love that because you have Isaiah Hodgins, who still a young guy, still really pretty unproven. He did prove it this year. But you get a guy like Robert Woods, and then you draft a wide receiver in the 1st round, and then your top 3 wide receivers are Robert Woods, whatever rookie you draft, whether it's Jordan Addison, whether it's Jackson and Binja, or even like the Zay Flowers kid out of Boston College. You have him at 2, and then you have Hodgins at 3, and then you have Wandell coming in and playing the slot or wherever you got to play him. But you get like one of those leaders, a guy that's been around. Bobby Trees was on a Super Bowl team. Like, you have a guy that's been around. He's been in the playoffs. He's done everything. He can coach that core up, teach them what they need to know and stuff like that. And you could probably get him for fairly cheap, and he probably can still give you somewhat production. I don't think he's going to give you anywhere near the numbers he was giving you. Well, he was giving the Rams or anything, and I think he showed that in Tennessee that he was just not the same player. But he's going to give you something.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be better than, let's be real, the guys you guys were really trotting out there towards the very end.
Oh, yeah, no.
But I mean, listen, he might be washed for all you know, but I don't think he's going to get a lot. If it's just to get a stable vet that is affordable in, I think the only way you guys improve at wide receiver is through the draft.
Yeah.
And admittedly, for right now, wide receivers are going to be around that pick for the Giants. So they have options. And wide receivers, let's be real, you can find a good wide receiver pretty much throughout the whole draft.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many times, like, that teams hit the home runs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and especially now, all these kids that come out are either fast and have size. Like, you can find somebody to come in and be better than what you have.
Oh, 100%.
And I think with the Giants, if they don't go wide receiver round one,
there's got to be somebody glaringly fell that you're like, we just can't pass this guy.
I just think wide receivers are gonna jump if they don't take them, because then somebody's gonna say, "Oh shit!" Like, dang, and they're trying to move up, and it's that domino effect. When one goes, they all start going, like the top ones. And I think the Giants, I mean, to me, the guys to get are the Addisons of the draft and stuff like that this year, or the I'm gonna botch his name. I still don't know how to say it. Jackson something Smith. I don't want to be disrespectful, but those guys, they're gonna go, and they're gonna go like that, and it's just a matter of
they're the type that, like, they're gonna hang around and they're gonna have space, but then once one goes, it's a domino.
But I feel that's bing, like to that point. Somebody's going to take one earlier, and that's when they're going to start to go. And it's going to ruin it all. It's like cornerbacks. Once one of them go, they're all going to start going. Yeah. But
I have a few ideas for the draft personally. But
me too. Me too. I can't wait till it's draft season so we can start talking about that more, because we can spend the whole hour and a half or hour, however long we talking about the draft. 100%. But
that's basically the state of the Giants. We're not losing any coordinators. I think our special teams coach is interviewing somewhere for something, but that's not.
Yeah, I didn't even mention we're keeping our special teams coordinator, which our special teams as Eagles fans,
was terrible.
Will leave a lot to be desired. I never want to see our punter, Aaron Sipos. I never want to see Brett Kern again. Yeah. I will personally fly him as far away as he needs to go after what we witnessed this year. But so. No, it's good talk on the Giants. I think the Giants are an up and coming team, but it all goes away without Saquon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Eagles, to me, I don't think they're gonna be a 14-win team, but I think they could be a 12-win team that wins the division, vies for the number one seed. I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna take 12, 13, 14 wins again this next year. Like. I was very low on the Eagles this year. I just wanted to make the playoffs and win a playoff game. Obviously, we went to the Super Bowl, and it's a whole different season. I didn't buy into the Eagles. I was very critical every game. I would nitpick at everything. Eagles, to me, next year, you got to go do it again. You got to go do it against number one teams now. Like, you don't get the easy schedule this time. You got to prove it, and this is what we're going to see if Jalen Hurts is going to be able to do it again. And to me, I think he can.
Yeah.
I absolutely think he can, but can we do the defensively? And that's all depends on who we bring in as a coordinator. Can we play proper special teams? Because I'm so sick of the long punt returns, long kick returns, where you're just like, what? Like, what do you, every single game? But I think the team can contend again. I think next year they can run it back, especially if Aaron Rodgers is out of this conference. If you bring in more rookie quarterbacks in the conference, why can't the path is there. The Dallas Cowboys, to me, they're not the team. They're not scary. Did we lose to them? We lost to them with Gardner Minshew, and it was a tight game all the way till the end. I know we beat them when it was Cooper Rush, but that's when Dallas fans were telling me that Cooper Rush is the guy, and why ever bring Dak back? So. It's a side of the trade but the Cowboys, they don't scare me. The only team that probably is the biggest threat is the Niners again.
Yeah.
But they're a question mark, because is Brock Purdy the guy in year 2?
Yeah. Do you give it back to Trey Lance?
The Vikings, they're total frauds. I was saying this to they're not this great team. But
their defense.
And I think the NFC East is going to be good again.
I think it will.
I think every team's going to have a winning record, and it's going to.
And I was shocked about that this year. I came.
I wrote Washington off. I really did write them off too.
Me too.
The Giants and the
Giants as a 6-win team now. I did not.
Yeah,
I was 6-11.
I thought
you show improvement. You do what you. I
thought of Nick Sirianni, and I thought, best case scenario, go 9-8, 8-9.
Yeah.
You were getting a full healthy Saquon.
Yeah.
You
got new
going into the year. You had a good coach. You brought in a good coach, a good staff. Admittedly, you got a good GM from a good organization. Like
understands what's going on here.
But I mean, the fact that you guys went to the playoff, what? 11-6, 10-7,
10-7, I think. Or no, 10-6-1.
Oh yeah, didn't you guys?
Yeah, we tied against Washington.
Yeah, you guys got that tie. God, I always forget that put that tie in there.
Yeah.
But
10-6-1, right? Or 9-7-1.
9-7-1.
9-7-1. So 9-7-1.
Man, you got to know your team's record, bro.
I honestly, I saw playoffs and I was like, who gives a fuck what our record is? As long as we make it in there.
Now,
and we beat the Vikings.
Yeah, you beat
as much as we're low on the Vikings, there were people that were high on the Vikings.
Yeah, all I heard at the start of the year how great Vikings were and how the Eagles were frauds.
And we fought them off.
Yeah.
And we made it happen.
And then honestly, you guys should have beat them the first time. They really could have. The Vikings, the Buccaneers without Tom Brady.
They're nothing.
Seattle, I think Seattle's a good team. I don't think they're this unbeatable team.
I don't think they're contending for the top of the conference.
No, neither do I. The Lions are a little scary. I will say that because they're tough. They're a tough team.
They're a tough team and they're a young team.
Mm-hmm. And honest to God, Jared Goff shut a lot of people up this year. He played well.
He shut me up.
He shut me up. I picked him up in fantasy. That's how good he was playing. And they have a good core. I mean, Jameson Williams coming back.
That's big, yeah.
Amon-Ra, Jamal Williams. You got DeAndre Swift as your 1B, I guess. Is how they should have just never traded T.J. Hawkinson. I just still don't understand why. That's a guy you build around.
Yeah, he's a young guy. He's proven that he's a top 5 tight end in football talent-wise.
Yep.
If you can give him the targets, which I think Goff 100% could.
Yeah.
And you can give him 12 targets a game, and he'll give you 8-9 catches a game.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's a trade that baffles me and makes me scratch my head. Washington, they're going to be good, but at the end of the day, they need a quarterback.
Yeah, I think
Carson Wentz.
I put them at the bottom of the division.
Yeah, they went 8-1 this year. I think they probably would hover around that again.
Yeah, right around the same.
Packers, if they lose Rodgers, now there's like a whole cult for Jordan Love, but
what have we ever seen from Jordan Love?
All we saw was him hit
small flashes
against the Eagles. That's the biggest thing you got this year.
Yeah, he hasn't served any valuable time. They never sat Rodgers and let the kid play or anything. Like, we don't know what Jordan Love can be.
Yeah, truly as a starter. Like, you can come in and flash for a quarter or two, like how he did against the Eagles, and I'm just saying that from going to the game and watching it happening. But we got to see what he could do over a full season, and if let's be real, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be a Packer next year.
No.
So we're gonna see. The Panthers, they need a quarterback. They should have. They didn't have to trade McCaffrey. They could have kept him, and they could have probably made the playoffs if they kept him.
Yeah.
The Saints, if they get Derek Carr, yeah, they'll be a better team because they'll have a real quarterback. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I'm not high on the Saints.
You make the playoffs.
They have talent, but they're just not.
They lack the getting over the hump.
And I'm not a Saints fan. I don't watch their games, but I don't think they're that good defensively. I don't know what their offensive line's like, but I can imagine it's not that great.
Is hit or miss.
The Falcons, they'll probably hover around the record they had this year, 7-10. Yeah. The Rams were the biggest surprise of the year, but I think
that's them now.
I do too, because their
core is finally just aged out.
It is. They sold out for a Super Bowl, and they're just
they got their Super Bowl.
The window closed. I think it closed, and it was funny. They lost 40-year-old Andrew Whitworth, and their line crumbled. The Cardinals, I mean,
They're terrible.
I'm obviously gonna be biased here against Jonathan Gannon. Good luck with the COD Pro over here.
Kyler Murray sucks. Let's be honest.
And then the Bears, I mean, they went 3-14, but they kind of just fell apart. They weren't.
Yeah.
They were 3-4 at one point, and then they just lost every game.
I don't see them being much better than that though this year.
I think they will be. I mean,
maybe
they
6 wins.
learned how to use Justin Fields.
Yeah, but
I mean,
how much
that'll
can you
get
run
him
out there and
killed.
let-
Like
yeah,
that's
it's
gonna get him injured.
it's gonna
But
run him.
I think they could probably win 7 games next year. I mean,
think
they were a tough
seven's a
team to play
stretch.
against the Eagles.
I think 7's a stretch. I think 6 would be like I'd be happy if I'm a Bears fan.
If
You
I'm
guys
not
go out there win
and I
6
might,
games.
I'm not a Bears fan,
You
and
guys
I don't
don't
know their
have that
schedule.
much talent.
But I think they were a
That
tough
roster.
team. Like they
They
didn't
were,
lose
no,
games by
They're a
crazy
gritty.
points.
They're a gritty team.
But so I mean, like the Eagles and Giants, they could be easily playoff teams again next year, and whether or not either are a contender, we could say now I think the Eagles will be. I don't think the Giants will be. I think they're just a playoff team. They're not a Super Bowl contending team.
The Giants would have to draft.
They would have to hit everywhere,
They would have to.
but
hit
the
every
teams that
single
win the
draft
off
pick to be-
seasons don't usually do well.
No.
But I mean, again, anything can happen. I didn't think the Eagles were a Super Bowl team this year. So like if we're looking at the script, I know neither of our teams are on the script this year.
No.
So
100%. I didn't think the Giants would make the playoffs, and they did, and they won a playoff game. They made me happy. As long as they can at least replicate that again this year, I think it's a win.
yeah, absolutely. And if the Eagles could win 14 games again, I think I'll be happy. My grandfather was telling me today he doesn't think he'll see another 14-win Eagles team.
Yeah,
And that's possible. But I think they can win 12 next year and, be up there with the top of the top.
Mm-hmm.
But that's we'll close that segment off with those parting words. We have a new segment here this week in the NFL. Boy, did we had some interesting stuff go on today.
Oh, God.
Or this past week. And it all starts off with Derek Carr, Hall of Fame.
Can we stop with these serviceable NFL quarterbacks that manage to get a Super Bowl and everyone goes, Hall of Fame? Like, put Joe Flacco in the Hall of Fame then. You know what? Let's just act like the Hall of Fame doesn't matter at all. We got to stop putting these guys who had good NFL careers. Like, and I'm going to say this, and this may be an unpopular opinion. And this is off the Derek Carr point, but this is just my Hall of Fame point. Calvin Johnson's not a Hall of Famer. What did he really do? Is he top 5 in catches, career yards, career touchdowns? No, he's not. So,
Yeah,
he didn't win a Super Bowl. He didn't win a playoff game.
And he called his career short.
Yeah, like as extremely talented as he is, you can't put a guy like that in Canton. Because now we're just putting anyone in Canton. Oh, you were a really good college player and you played 3 years in the NFL and you were like pretty good and then you got hurt.
That's like a debate with MLB with like their Hall of Fame, and
I think people should be getting knocked out of the NFL Hall of Fame. Terry Bradshaw's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
yeah. If you
Like
ever
that, you know,
look at the stats,
he threw more picks than touchdowns in his career.
and that's
Like
all.
he won the Super Bowls. Cool, man. But Super Bowls aren't the only measure of how great an NFL player is.
That's Eli Manning though.
Well, Eli Manning is a first ballot Hall of Fame.
But he'll get in
He'll get in based off the 2 Super Bowl MVPs.
based off of that. Like,
But he also had a very good
he had a good
career.
career, but if you
Long
take their
career.
Super Bowl wins away, he's not a Hall of Famer anymore.
No.
You know, like unfortunately, the bowl wins do carry weight.
They should carry weight, but like
But damn, Derek Carr had
dude.
Devontae Adams for fuck's sake, and he
couldn't make that team decent.
he couldn't even do anything.
Like
And I will say, Josh McDaniels, I think was a horrible hire. I was happy when the Eagles chose not to go with him. He's a snake for bailing on the Colts that ultimately got Frank Wright taken from Doug Peterson, which that's a what if scenario. If that never happened, would we have been able to do it again? Which I believe we could have been able to win it again in 2018, but don't tell the Giants fan. But I just Derek Carr is a good quarterback that could get you to the playoffs. He's not a great quarterback.
No, he's not.
He is what I would say Daniel Jones is. A good quarterback, not a great one. And that's not a knock. I'm saying like he's a good quarterback, like, but he's just not a great one. Daniel Jones to me is not a great quarterback. At the end of the day, he doesn't change a game for you.
No.
You know, like does he have his legs? Sure, but he makes the bad mistakes. You know, when I'm thinking
he didn't do that much this year, which
he cut down on the turnovers, but when I'm thinking of like Hall of Fame quarterbacks, let's be real, we're talking Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Rodgers, you know, Lamar Jackson, because like he's putting up Vic numbers, but also throws the ball too. Like he does put up passing numbers too.
100%.
Well, you know, like
with terrible receivers.
With terrible receivers. So, Derek Carr, he's like do the Jets have some good weapons? Sure,
fantastic.
But the Raiders did too.
Yeah,
they had arguably going into the year the top tight end. Mm. They had arguably the top wide receiver. Mm. They have a top 10 back. Mm. You have a really good second wide receiver in Renfro.
Yeah. He didn't show up this year at all.
Yeah, and then they fizzled out. So it's like it just kind of shows you like
that they're just not like I just don't like I don't understand where they're coming from with that. Derek Carr could take the Jets to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, and then he's a Hall of Famer.
Like the Jets are an up and coming team.
Could he take them to the playoffs? Yeah. Could he maybe even win a playoff game? Yeah. But outside of that, what else are you gonna do, man?
Can they even make the playoffs in a stacked AFC?
Oh yeah, the AFC is ridiculously stacked.
Like
that's true.
Like
I think
Derek Carr doesn't
as a
doesn't elevate them over the Dolphins or the Bills out of just the AFC East. Yeah, the Patriots, Mac Jones, we can talk about him all day. I thought he wasn't worth a first-round pick when they took him. Obviously, he had a good year, so he had to be taken. But
I didn't think he was either. I think Bailey Zapp's better than Mac Jones, but that's not
maybe Lamar Jackson joins Bill Belichick out there. Maybe Tom Brady comes out of retirement. Wasn't that in the script?
Yeah. If he comes out of retirement, no, he was a free agent, right?
Yeah, I think
Tampa Bay didn't have any more years on him. So if he came out of retirement, he wouldn't be locked to Tampa. I was like, that's possible, but
I'll never say never with Tom Brady. He's the new Brett Favre.
Apparently, he put in whatever paperwork that you allegedly have to do to retire from the NFL.
J.J. Watt's still getting drug tested. You know, he's
got to put J.J. Watt's like, if there's paperwork, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that man needs to just put the
I'm not coming back, I promise, but I'm not doing the paperwork.
But so that's the big first headline, Derek Carr Hall of Fame, and I think we can both accurately say that's just
he could win back-to-back.
That's a desperate franchise looking for an answer at quarterback because the mom lover was a tremendous flop, and that right there is what throws off each position market. Shit like this where Derek Carr might get a fucking bag. Maybe that's smokescreen to make for the Saints. I don't know, but like Derek Carr is gonna make more money just because of this, you know. And it's again in 2 years, quarterbacks all of a sudden are gonna be the minimum for some of these mid quarterbacks is going to be 50, 55, and it's just going to get out of control.
The top ones are making $75 million a year.
And quarterbacks, like when I saw somebody say quarterbacks just have to be a whole separate part of the cap, I believe it should be because it's nuts. I know the cap does go up, but does it account for how crazy quarterbacks are? And that's a wormhole, man. That's a wormhole of cap that. Let's be real. Two average Joes like us, I don't understand the NFL salary cap half the time.
The only thing I gotta say is them saying the Jets fans saying Derek Carr can be a Hall of Famer. How long has it been since Mark Sanchez? Because they're getting fucking desperate over there.
I know.
That they're like Derek Carr, please.
They thought Mike White was the fucking GOAT.
Yeah.
And my man told me that he should have been the number one overall pick. That's that. They had to bring back Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
They traded us a pick for Joe Flacco. When Joe Flacco has... When we're talking about Joe Flacco, we're talking about the car on E when it says 2 miles to go until you're out of gas. That's where he was.
And they're like, yeah, we're driving this shit straight to the playoffs. And they're like, nah. He gave you one good half of football and then was like, yeah, I'm out. That's my year.
Yeah. So that's Jets
Point number
fans.
one.
I feel for y'all because I'm a Philadelphia homer, and I feel like the Flyers are becoming the Jets of
hockey.
Otherwise, that's the first big topic. Another thing that came up that's actually not on our list. I saw this earlier today, but I thought maybe we should point out that Peyton Hillis. He's expected to make 100% recovery, and that's awesome to hear after doing something.
Fucking dad right there.
Yeah, just something small to touch on. I think he.
I'm glad he's doing well. I'm glad he's expected to make 100%
Yeah, I mean,
recovery.
after DeMar Hamlin and then that happened, it's like, oh man, like.
Yeah, he was saving his kids, man, and I'm glad he saved the kids, and I'm glad he's gonna hopefully make 100% recovery.
Former Madden cover.
Former
GOAT.
New York Giant.
I know. He was a Giant for a second. Another storyline. I don't think we even touched on it, but we did talk about Brock Purdy. He's postponing his surgery. He's going to visit a doctor later on in March. He's still on track to return for 2023, but
he's trying to physical therapy it over.
I guess he's trying to do the Josh Allen method and just do the therapy, rehab, and which so
can work,
as a baseball fan, I don't really know much about how the UCL works as a quarterback. I know as a pitcher, like, you're done. Yeah. That's a year recovery when you get surgery. So I don't understand like how bad it is throwing a football. I can imagine it's not as bad as how violent a baseball pitcher when they're throwing, how violent that is. But that's another storyline that's gonna be looked at. I mean, that's when we're talking about giving the keys to him. Like, yeah, he's gonna have the keys, but how long are they? Like, if he comes out flat, I don't, like.
Is Trey Lance set to be ready?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to be. He's gonna probably have to be, probably, huh? Yeah. But yeah, I think he will be because
that's gonna be a battle of who's healthier.
Yeah, I mean, if he's postponing surgery, that's a risk. I mean, that's taking a route that as a 7th round quarterback I wouldn't necessarily be doing, because that
7th round going into your 2nd year, you finally proved something. Hey, you can get the surgery and be better, or
you could be out of the league with a bad showing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And Aaron Rodgers he said that he's got that Tom Brady moxie. I don't think Brock Purdy's got that, but we're not the players, though. I will say, when a player says something about another player, I can't judge it because we're not on the field. He sees things differently, and I would trust if Aaron Rodgers is showing me. If we're sitting down watching a highlight tape and he's telling me everything up, I would absolutely be like, yeah, you're right.
Is it 1935? He used the word moxie.
Moxie's an interesting.
It's a way bit before my time. That's before my parents' time. That's honestly before my grandparents' time. I don't know why we're talking about that.
I know, right?
Why you use that word, but okay, whatever.
I know we touched on like our personal team, franchise tag players, but there's a good list of players that will be eligible
for the franchise.
Yeah, and
guys like Josh Jacobs.
That Jesse Bates, and I'm just.
I know Josh Jacobs will be right in that. He's in that running back category, so I'm pretty sure it's 10.5.
Yeah. So here we go. So quarterbacks would be 32, 32-4. Running backs 10. Wide receivers 19-7. Tight ends 11-3. Offensive line 18-2. Defensive end 19-7.
Jeez. Defensive
tackle, pretty much 19. It's an 18-9. Linebacker 20, which I'm I'm stunned that linebackers.
Make that much.
It's actually 29. 20 dash, like 20.
20.9.
Yeah, not 29 mil, 2900. Yeah. Safety is 14.4. Cornerback 18. And then kicker, punter 5, which is
14 for a safety. Though.
I was gonna say
So
the defensive backs.
Jesse Bates, he's the hand of the franchise.
Same thing like with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Just give him that. I know
The
the biggest storyline's Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the one.
They gotta pay him, man.
We obviously did the conundrum between the Giants with Saquon and Daniel Jones, but reeling back to Lamar, I mean. We talked about this earlier. This man has done everything for them. Has not been in the news. He hasn't done anything wrong. And we're talking about Deshaun Watson when we're doing this comparison here. He can't even get his own bag when a guy like Deshaun Watson won't touch on him because it's very, very controversial with people. We have our own personal feelings. The Browns should not have given him
guaranteed money.
Hey, they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have. He should not have had any say in any of that because
cases were still
regardless of what happened, he's not a good dude. You don't give that guy power, and he had all the power the whole time, and that's just not okay. And
that just shows how desperate Browns.
It just and like that. The fact that they set a bad precedent with that when a guy like Lamar Jackson does everything, and honestly, he could have came back and played this year. I respect him for not doing it. Being like, nah, if I get hurt, you won't pay me as is.
Yeah, you won't pay me when I'm perfectly healthy. You're not gonna pay me when I'm not.
Yeah, and it's I just hope they pay him.
Yeah, it creates a big old issue. I hope they finally give him his money.
I mean, you said you pulled up something that a prediction was what 5 years or 6 years, 300 or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Around $50 million a year, which honestly for him, I would pay it because he does it all. He does it with the legs, and he can win you a game with his arm. I've seen it happen.
6 years, 306.
And I think that'd be fair. You know, giving him term, 6 years.
Yeah,
it depends on how much is guaranteed.
You're making him essentially a Raven for life.
Yeah.
At that point, you're ending I'm not saying his career is going to be done after 6. But I'm saying he's going to be at the tail end of it after 6.
And the Cowboys, all signs say they're going to do Tony Pollard. Yeah. They have to, and just deal with Zeke aftermath.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz.
He's going to walk.
He's good. I think he's replaceable.
Well, they have the Ferguson kid, Jake.
Yeah.
Or whatever, who showed a lot of promise. So
yeah,
I think that makes him a little more comfortable. Let Dalton walk.
He's expendable, and I think that's less of a burden. And Pollard, this is another thing. Is Pollard going to be the same Pollard he was this past year? Because he's coming off a brutal injury, you know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't know. That is a hard one if you actually dumb it down a little more. Maybe it's not as clear cut because Pollard's got an injury, and it's like, do you want to give him? I mean, $10 million. If Jerry Jones got the money, I think he can blow the $10 million. But compared to what do we say? Tight end was 11-3, so
an extra mil.
I'd keep Pollard, but it does. It does complicate it, and I wonder, because Schultz was a big target for Dak. I wonder,
huge.
If Dak has any say into that. Not saying he's gonna dictate the outcome, but he might be like, give me my man back, give my boy his bag for Schultz.
Yeah.
The Bills. I mean, they got some people. We were talking about.
Jordan Poyer. Right?
Jordan Poyer is a potential Giants signee.
Yeah.
But Tremaine Edmonds too.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it to Edmonds over Jordan Poyer because he's older. 31 to 24 years old.
Yeah. No,
You know, like,
100%.
and I think they can't let Tremaine Edmonds go.
No.
If they start letting guys on that defense go, the big bad Bills are not the big bad Bills anymore.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
We addressed the Eagles, and I think Raiders are kind of forced to do Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
And I just think he had a good year.
He had a really good year.
Why would you do anything crazy?
And if he can do it again, then you can give him a bag and be happy in that and be fine with that.
And this is just a short list of people. Yeah. No, we don't have enough time to go through every single team here, but
it would just be hard to give Josh Jacobs a bag. I feel like he's been a serviceable running back, but he finally had his real big breakout year. You give him a franchise, you make him do it again.
Yeah,
if he does it again, you give him a bag.
Yeah, I wouldn't give him his bag. It's the same thing with Saquon. You make him do it again. If they do it again, then absolutely.
Then you give him a bag, yeah.
Another notable thing that happened in the NFL sporting news is the topic of Jalen Ramsey to the Lions.
Oh yeah. See, I think he has way better options. Come be a Giant, man. Come take a 4-year, $8 million deal.
He's getting his bag.
Take $2 million a year, and just be on the Giants, man, and lead us to a Super Bowl, so I could be proud again.
He's gonna get a bag if he gets cut. He's gonna get paid a lot of money.
And he started hanging question marks this year for me.
I don't think he's gonna be undressed about being that guy next year.
I don't think he is.
I think Sauce is that guy.
Sauce is the man, dude. If the only Giants could have drafted him, if the Jets could have just backed the hell off and let us take Sauce, let us be happy. But no, I do like Kayvon Thibodeau. I do like Evan Neal, but Sauce would have been phenomenal.
I will say if in a hypothetical world, if Jalen Ramsey got cut signed with the Lions, that would make them, even if Jalen Ramsey showed some signs of,
that would make that defense
tailing
better.
off. Absolutely, be better than Jeff Okudah, you know. So, odds are he's not getting cut, but it's kind of funny. This is really like the truth of the offseason and the rumor mill, and it was kind of funny because it does beg a question, like, what if you did put them on the Lions? Like, that team would really, that team could
really make some noise.
Really make some noise. So we'll see what happens with the Rams. They're a team to watch because of how they deem themselves, and they're gonna look at themselves and say, are we a team to go out there and contend or start?
Are they gonna force Aaron Donald to come back again?
Oh yeah, I mean,
he wanted to retire after the Super Bowl, and they made him come back, and then they made him come back again. And it's like, leave the guy alone.
Yeah, that's gonna
let the guy retire.
That team's gonna be bad for a long time when it breaks up.
Oh,
when the Rams break up,
it's already started.
And if it truly has started this season,
I'm shocked. I knew Stafford wasn't going to give up at the Super Bowl.
Matthew Stafford to me is like the Derek Carr. I
think he's better.
I don't think he's that good. I never thought he was that good. Turnover prone.
He's turnover prone.
Very turnover prone.
A lot of his career, he's been forced to do everything. Like, he has an average offensive line. I mean, he has like Calvin Johnson.
I understand that, but
they're like you're just like Drew Brees. Now go throw for 5,000 yards.
But guys like Aaron Rodgers, if they're supposedly this good, can do it. Yeah. Matthew Stafford couldn't before, Yeah. But yeah, we'll see about the Rams and Jalen Ramsey. That's something to keep an eye on as we go through the weeks. I think I got 2 more topics here, and we'll brush through them quick. Or at least this one. Ezekiel Elliott. Scouts saying he's got little left, and his value is extremely low. And I was saying this. He's a good short yardage back still. Yeah. But
he's a good RB too.
I agree. He's washed.
He's not a number 1 running back on any team anymore. I don't think you can point at a single NFL team and go, he would be the number 1 running back there. I can't think of one off the top of my head that he'd be the number one running back in.
No,
I don't see a single
I don't
backfield.
think there's one team that you could say he is better
than every single one of the running backs they have.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see him as an RB2.
Yeah, it's
for a young guy in front of him to be that vet behind him, to be a vet in the running back's room, and to teach these kids how to do certain things that maybe Zeke knows how to do and has done in his career, but can't physically do anymore. But you teach these young guys how to do that stuff, and you have value. A team will pay you a good amount of money to coach up their young running backs as just a veteran running back in there. So that's where I think that's where his value is at. His value is not what he's going to give you on the field. Can he give you, 8 carries a game and do decently well, a lot of goal line work or whatever? Yeah, he can do that. But I think he's better off being a veteran presence in a running back room, a young running back room.
I would think of him if he's smart and thinks about just trying to make money and stay in the league. He could be a LeGarrette Blount, a guy who bounces, team to team for in the twilight of his career, make a couple mil each year and just do his role and do that. Now, do I think that's not the case? Absolutely. I think he's going to try to say I'm a number one back still. Let's just be realistic. The fall off is here for him, and any team that gives him more than $3 million,
psychos,
I think is just out of their mind. Because a guy like Zeke today, you can go pick up anywhere.
Yeah. There's probably guys sitting at home right now that want to be in the NFL that can probably give you better value than Zeke.
Yeah, I agree. But it's gonna be it's a lot of interesting stuff coming up. I mean, the franchise tag window is open, so and it's gonna be something that we'll continue to talk about each week. I know we planned on doing it now tonight, but I think we might hold off on talking about the mock drafts.
Yeah,
because we're running a little late here.
100%.
But we'll definitely go into talk about some mock drafts coming up. Yeah. Again, track the franchise tags. I know the window ends the 23rd.
Yeah. So we have 2 weeks.
As of recording this, it's 1:36 on the 23rd.
We have almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, so the window closes on the 7th. So we'll have until then to kind of figure that out. And then once free agency opens up, that'll be a
big talking point.
That'll be a lot of talking point, a lot of reactions, analysis from 2 randos who live in
South Jersey,
in the southern part of New Jersey, from an Eagles-Giants fan perspective.
Yeah.
But any closing words you got, Ando Fried?
Saquon Barkley, if you hear this, bro, just take like 12 and a half, 13, and ride it out, man. If you want anything more than that, you can shove it. Giant for life, yeah, suck my balls, man. Goodbye. Danny Dimes, cut it with the 45, dude. You're not worth that. Take 37 and accept it and love it and work hard and be Eli Manning 2.0 like I expect you to be. That's
Amen. So we do have a YouTube channel up. It's called The Dead End Boys. We have a Twitter. It's called The Dead End Boys.
Add us on Twitter. Sub to the YouTube. Or start posting more and more stuff to the YouTube.
Absolutely. So, we're also young gamers, so we might do some
gaming content,
some gaming stuff at one point. But yeah, give us a follow, and thanks for tuning in.
Listening.
Thanks for tuning in on us, and
we appreciate the interactions. Hit us up on Twitter if you think anything either of us said was astronomically stupid in your opinion.
Yes, please.
And let us know. We're willing to hear you out.
We are the ones to say the things that people probably think, but won't say publicly, at least outside of their friend groups.
Yeah, 100%.
So, but yeah, thanks again for listening, everyone. We'll catch you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
Peace out.
Peace.